We will now take the darshan of their lordships. We will take darshan of their lordships. Sri Sri Jagannath, Baladev, Devi, Subhadra, Gauranitai, Panchatattva, Vamana Dev, Ki Jai. So today we will be discussing 11th chapter, 14th verse. Before we get into the chapter, let us offer our prayers. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nanda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaurabhakta Vranta. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Om Tat Sat. So we will today be discussing the 11th chapter, verse number 14. I'll read that. Tatah sa vismaya vishto Krishta Roma Dhananjayaha Pranamya Sirasa Devam Kritanjalair Abhasata. Then, bewildered and astonished, his hair standing on end, Arjuna bowed his head to offer obeisances and with folded hands began to pray to the Supreme Lord. Okay, so now this chapter is all about the universal form. Arjuna desiring to see the universal form of the Lord. And Krishna giving him a different set of eyes to see this form. Because he tells him, you can't see this with your current eyes. So now, what we, as devotees of the Lord, while majority of the people would look at this form as the as something which is putting a seal to say that, here is Lord, and the Lord actually is everything, that kind of thing, where Mayavad kind of a philosophical thinking is there. So this is generally associated with that therefore the Lord is actually everything, and this is one of the representations of that everything. So this means the vision, the personality of Krishna, and that he is actually showing all his forms, and therefore everything is actually equal to that form. And here he is in this form now, and therefore he is here, but actually he is showing that this is all, everything is him, like that. So while that is there and true to some extent, that is not the complete truth. Complete truth is, this is the person from whom everything emanates. So that is something which we need to understand. This is the form, this is the person from whom every other forms or every other things emanate, and in that sense, he is everything. But then he is independent of each of those things, and everything is dependent on him, but he is not dependent on any of those forms. That is something which we need to understand. Just like there is an energy, we have an energy, like my voice is there. So the voice may be very nice, and people may, like there are so many singers, they have a wonderful voice, and everybody is so much attracted to that voice. They will close their eyes and hear to that voice. They will say, I can keep hearing his songs for a whole lifetime, whatever. So that is great, right? But then that greatness is emanated from that person greatness, right? If that person is not there, then that source, the source of that voice is that person. If that person is not there, then there is no voice. But then people get lost and they think this voice is the only thing that we are actually bothered about. No, it is the source of that voice, which is the person. So similarly, when you see all these forms of the different various forms, very powerful forms as it may be, when we see that, we get carried away and think that, everything is one. And then, this form of Krishna is actually incidental. No, this is also part of that many. No, this is the source of all of that. That is something which we need to understand as devotees. And the second point that we need to understand is, so then therefore, why is this there? Right? That is the other question which comes into mind. Why should something like this be there at all in the first place? So then that is the beauty of personalism, where people are not all of the same nature. People don't have the same thoughts. People don't have the same level of development. People are not equally aware in so many things, right? So therefore, the Lord, according to their level, tries to get down to their own level and then pulls them up to the higher levels. Just like we are studying in school, initially the knowledge is one, but then we are taught at different levels, LKG, UKG, first standard, second standard, third standard, like this. And as people keep progressing, their vision expands and they are able to understand things better. Therefore, it's not like the first standard is the ultimate truth, but it is also truth. Nobody can deny that. Then if you say first standard is not true knowledge, then why would anybody go to first standard? You go to first standard because that is also knowledge, but that doesn't mean that is the ultimate knowledge. So you keep on progressing further and further and further. Therefore, the Lord, according to different levels of people, actually projects himself in different ways for the people to get themselves attracted to that feature of the Lord and slowly elevate. And therefore, this form is there to attract people in different levels. But those who have reached the highest, they are able to see this particular form of Krishna, the Shyam Sundara form of the Lord, and get fixed up in that form. And therefore, the pure devotees of the Lord do not have much to do with this universal form. I would have said it earlier when I have spoken on this chapter, and I'm saying this because this is very important. Otherwise, we are not really into the Vaishnava philosophy. We are also there, but we are not there, that kind of a thing. Therefore, it's important that like just someone has finished his PhD, he may be not very much pleased with the first standard or LKG or fifth standard or sixth standard or even 10th or 12th standard, whatever subject that he is specialized on. While he knows that is important, but he is not very interested in going and going to that level again. Like this, those pure devotees of the Lord are rather only interested in the supreme form, which is the Shyam Sundar, the Krishna form of the Lord, because that is the source of everything. Now, therefore, now these pure devotees, they are not awed by the opulence of the Lord in terms of his powers, whatever is going to see or whatever he has seen. Now, therefore, here also, if you see, and they are always having a specific rasa. That means there are some 5 principal rasas that the devotees of the Lord have, which are primarily the one which is of neutrality. That means they understand this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they are not wanting to do anything other than relate to the Lord in that supreme form as Krishna, but they may not have any specific relationship with him. For example, the trees or the birds and beasts in the Goloka Vrindavan Dham in the spiritual world, not here in the material world, the spiritual world. Now, if there are trees, there are jivas in the form of trees in the spiritual world. We think they are ordinary trees? No. They are also fully conscious, very, very pure devotees of the Lord. But their relationship with the Lord is one of neutrality. Therefore, so they are there serving the Lord, but not in a specific relationship like what we will discuss going forward. But this is a kind of a neutral relationship. Now, like this, so this is a neutral relationship, but the pure consciousness, like that. Then there are the other relationship which are there with the Lord, which are like Vatsalya, which means like a mother or father to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like we have Yashoda Mata. Then like this, we have all the like Kausalya, like all of these various incarnations, the Lord comes and he may have a mother Sachi Devi. Like, so we have, so this is all the pure devotees who are in the motherly or fatherly relationship with the Lord. Then there is this relationship of Dasya. That means one who is a servitor. So if you go to Vaikuntha Loka, 99, most literally everyone is actually in the Dasya relationship. That means in the form of serving the Lord. So the Lord there is like a king. Normally with the king, the relationship is only as a servant, right? Nobody is in having a relationship of a friend or any such relationship. 99% it is actually that mode. So the people, the devotees, the pure devotees there are having a mood of servitor, and Anjaneya is a very good example of a servitor, a devotee in the form of a servitor. Then we have the relationship of Sakya. That means one is that of a friendship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Arjuna is a wonderful example. So we will discuss another aspect of Arjuna here, but primarily Arjuna's primary relationship or rasa with the Lord is actually Sakya. That means friendship. Then there is what are the things that we have discussed? We have discussed neutrality, we have discussed Vatsalya, we have discussed Sakya, we have discussed Dasya. And what is the fifth one, which is conjugal love? That means one in as a gopi, one as a wife or a conjugal lover to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this mode is reflected, and this is supposed to be the highest form, even amongst these five, even though we generally say all of them are equal. All these rasas are equal, but the technically that this conjugal relationship is the highest, and we can see the gopis and then Radharani in that mood with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So these are the five rasas, and the pure devotees of the Lord would want to be in this position with the Lord and not be awed by his six opulences, right? That he is most powerful, he is most beautiful, he is most wealthy, he is most famous, he is most renounced, whatever, he is full of knowledge, or the maximum knowledge, or the unlimited knowledge. All of this, when I say most, I mean unlimited. All of these opulences that the Lord has, all of them are unlimited. But these pure devotees are not having a love for him for these reasons at all, completely not having developed love for him because of the six reasons of six opulence that the Lord has. But they have a genuine love for the Lord, as in that I want to serve this personality eternally. That he is the only thing I care for, and whether he gives or not gives, whether he cares or he does not care, whether he embraces me or kicks me, he is my true lover. In the sense, Dasya also, like he's my master, or he is my child. That kind of a mood. Just like any parent thinks their child is the most beautiful, right? While there could be very beautiful children otherwise, but we always see our child as the most handsome, or the more beautiful child, or the most beautiful girl child or boy child. We think that is the most beautiful, and we do not serve that child looking at the level of beauty. Oh no, that child is very more beautiful than my child, so let me not be really affectionate to my child. That no parents does it. They are fully gaga over their child, irrespective of what, even if the child has a deformity, they don't care. They love that child so much. Like this, these pure devotees are not interested in the whatever the greatness or opulence or whatever. No, that is not, those things are great, fine, let it be. But I love you for what you are. This is the mood with the pure devotees with the Lord, and they don't want to see him in other rasas. But then there are secondary rasas also. So here, in this verse, if you see, Arjuna bowed his head to offer obeisances and with folded hands began to pray to the Supreme Lord. You would have never seen Arjuna do this to Krishna. Yes, he would have said Danvat Pranam, and he would have bowed, said all that. But that mood was never in the mood of awe and reverence. It is always with a kind of a very warm, friendly relationship. Just like when we see like other devotees, lot of devotees, we just bow down and say Hare Krishna in a smiling way. We bow down, we pay obeisances. But that relationship is not in awe and reverence, but with a nice, friendly relationship. Mostly our peers, we do like that. So Arjuna's relationship with Krishna, when he bows down, it was in that mode. But here, he's actually doing that in wonder. And if you see, his hairs were standing on end, right? This is not actually a friendship kind of a relationship. This is a kind of a wonder. That's what Prabhupada is saying. And we will try to understand what are the other rasas that are there. Quickly, I know I'm shooting over time, but these are important things. So there are these other, there are actually 12, out of which we have already discussed 5, which are the primary ones. And then the other 7 we will try to touch upon. One is Raudra, that means anger. The other one is Adbhuta, that is actually wonder. And Arjuna is actually caught up in this wonder relationship right now at this point in time. Then there is Hasya, it's comedy. And then Veera, that is chivalry. And then Daya, mercy. And Bhayankara, that means is horror. And then Bibhatsa, shock. So these are the other rasas, the secondary rasas which are there. And temporarily pure devotees may be coming into this things. These things are also part of the normal life, right? We do wonder, wow, Krishna, when Krishna lifted the Govardhan, they did also, wow, how wonderful it is that you're lifting it. But they didn't remain in that mood. They still say, no, this is my child, how can he do it? This is what Nanda Maharaj was saying, or others, or his mother Yashoda was saying, no, this is my child, it is Vishnu who is doing this. So they don't want to relate to these other things with Krishna, but they are on and off put into this kind of a rasa. So here Arjuna is experiencing this wonder rasa, is what Prabhupada is saying. And he's saying his natural loving friendship was overwhelmed by wonder, and thus he reacted in this way. So it is slightly shadowed, that wonder is shadowing his friendly relationship. But then they do not want to remain in that state of carried by wonder, or even for that matter, impressed by the other opulences of the Lord. They want to be fixed in their original relationship. Like that, all of us also have a original relationship with the Lord within these 5 primary rasas. So our entire journey of Krishna consciousness is actually to identify which is that particular one relationship that we have within these 5, and then coming to that Swarupa. Swarupa is that in that original relationship with that Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that is this entire journey of Krishna consciousness. But of course, we will always be having a superimposition with other rasas as well. While we may not want to have the horror rasa, but that is also there. For example, when these children, when they were there with the Lord, and they are all the time surrounded by demoniac, the demons. So everywhere Krishna is there, these demons are always there to kill him because of his uncle's command. And who's going to experience, of course, Krishna, but who else? Because these other Gopas who are all the time with Krishna, they also got to see this Dhenukasura, so many of these asuras, and they also got to experiencing, and then they actually experience a little bit of a horror when, in relation to Krishna, because this is happening in relation to Krishna. But then Krishna immediately changed that relationship from that horror to bliss and happiness, and whatever that Gopa relationship comes back. But there is always that little bit of this other wonder, or when he's lifting the Govardhan, wonder, or here Arjuna, wonder, sometimes horror, sometimes comedy, right? Krishna always has many wonderful jokes with his friends. So those things are always there, but their primary rasa is actually that of friendship, or any other of the 5 rasas that we discussed. So I will end here by friends. Much for patient. Now, if there are any questions or comments, welcome. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.